Good morning. Good morning. Coming from you today, from uh, coming to you today from my back porch on the house. As you know, with all of this stuff that's going on, they call it a pandemic. I call it a Population Reduction Act, whatever you call it. That's what you call it. Whatever you see it as, that's what you see it as. But the truth is what it is. And it's going to be what it's going to be. And what it is not is nice for certain sectors of the population. Um, I had, on yesterday, I did a funeral for a young lady that I've been knowing her entire life. 44 years old, young, two young daughters, still seemed to be someone that should have had a lot more life to live. But she got caught up. She was ill and recovered from that some years ago, and she got caught up with the coronavirus thing. And here we go again, So now, in the city of New Orleans, uh, the morgues are filled. The coroners can't hardly get to the people. The um, the mortuaries are filled. On yesterday, when I did the funeral, I knew the lady, one of the funeral directors, and it was her niece that was being funeralized. And she told me, she said, as soon as y'all get out, we got another one right behind us. It's like they was ready to roll her body out right before we really finished. So we went to well, they cremated us, so we didn't take her nowhere. So it was over there. It's also where you can't get but 10 people. 10 people can be in the room, not to include the minister. The minister make the 11th person. This stuff is real. People are dying, young people, and here's just the beginning of it. She was among some of the first, like she was like the 14 or 15 person that passed from it in this city. So just think, what it's gonna be. Then a young man that I know had an automobile accident and he perished. Um, Another person well, I know others that passed too from this virus. Uh, Two right in the same morning. Then I know a brother and a sister. They didn't necessarily pass from the virus, but they passed one day apart. One passed like Tuesday, the other one Wednesday. Then last night, a guy that I used to ride motorcycles with sometime. He passed away last night, but not from the virus. They don't know what for sure, but probably he had bad heart. He had heart problems. So, people just passing and passing so fast that the funeral homes can't keep up with it. So there's a lot going on, and I'm saying this to say that no matter how powerful you think you are, obviously the church been exposed. God can show that they don't believe in what they've been professing. But nevertheless, be careful, be wise. I don't say be afraid. I go out every day, but be smart. Be smart in your choosing, because the truth is, people are perishing, people are dying, and we have to be careful about. Brother Neil, good morning, sir. We have to be careful about the choices we make, because one bad decision in this time can cost you your life. Now, it could be where you might have was gonna live. Maybe you was gonna live for a long period of time. Who knows? But we know what we live under, and I say this to you all. This is what I say. Now, I said while this pandemic is going around, which I believe that just like they did the yellow fever, all that stuff, uh, I believe that they did this. But here's the deal: don't focus so much on the the 19 deal. Be careful about it and all that, but pay attention to what's going on outside of that because some things are happening that people are so distracted that they're not paying attention to. This I look at it. Of course, I'm a conspiracy theorist type person, but I know that these people conspire to control, to destroy. I was just reading a post on Facebook that Dr. Sebi said, when Dr. Sebi was here, Dr. Sebi said that viruses are created. They're created, and so I sort of believe that, and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna move on. Now they wanted to test the antivirus in Africa, but after the whole continent of Africa only had 19 cases. So why would you go in a place where they don't have it to test the virus when hell in this country in this country, all right now, yeah, in this country, do you have the worst breakout in this country? You gonna go to Africa, really? Like, am I the only one that's seen this? And I know I'm not, because brother telling me he want to talk to me right now, so I know he up on it. So we got a lot of things that's going on. A lot of things that's going on we have to pay attention to because these people, it's the Intentional Population Reduction Act is what I call it. That's my title for this thing. But anyway, you can hear my little noisy dog. He out there having his little fun. But I wanted to talk about here. We got Isaiah the 50th chapter. What's up, Arch? I'm on Facebook Live, bro. So holler at me later. Yeah. So in Isaiah, we want to deal a little bit with what was going on here. Isaiah the 50th chapter, and what I like about it is, as Isaiah says, check this out. Isaiah 50:4 said, "The Lord God has given me a tongue for teaching, that I may know how to saucer the weary with a word. Each morning he wakens my ears to hear as disciples do. The Lord God had opened my ears, and I have not been rebellious. I have not turned backwards." Now, he said God has opened his ears. Now, a lot of times, even in the New Testament, Haru, Yeshua, Jesus, whatever you call him, I call him Haru, said that for let those who have ears to hear, let them hear. Here's the problem. Now, with controlled, disseminated information, we see a president that can't even get up and articulate what the country's going through, so he have to keep calling up that the doctor. Now, here's the deal. Dr. Ben is supposed to be the health doctor or whatever. Dr. Ben Carson, why we don't hear more from him? You would think that you would hear more from him. Secondly, Mike Pence. Mike Pence have to always go up and talk for Trump. So here's, I'm going to say this, then I'm going to move on. These people are fooled to think that Trump is so great, and because he was non-political. But he picked Mike Pence. Mike Pence is really running the political arm. That's why he had to have Pence, because Pence knows politics. You can't do that job without knowing some politics. But here's the deal. We see the job not being done. But Pence just sitting back like a buzzard circling a wounded animal. But anyway, so if I have the ear, so I have to start listening. But so here's the problem. A lot of our people are so asleep that they can't hear. Now Isaiah saying God had gave him, he woke him, he awoken me and awoken me. So we often say they have a thing with black people that's thinking or call itself thinking is being awoken or waking up at least. But we have so many of our people asleep because they want to so badly fit into the system, or what I call a system, that they forget who is running it. They forget the history of these people that's running it. They forget that that is documented proof. There's documented proof of the atrocities people committed, and yet you still trust them with your life. Again, I said you have to be wise, you have to be smart, you have to pay attention, you have to know. But here now, China, so-called China, the epicenter of this thing, the breakout. But they had 7,000 cases, and we have more cases than they had already. We stand to lose over 100,000 people. You're not suspect of that? Do that really make sense to you that it's going to be much worse a half a ocean away than it was in the place of as they say, in ground zero? Do that make sense to you? So when you start hear with the open ears of the Most High Creator. So people tell me all the time, people say, sometimes they get mad at me, you're always analyzing everything. You're always searching and looking. And I'm like, because I was a darn fool long enough. Just went with whatever was said, just done what was popular, because it had the appearance of righteousness. It had the appearance. And then the biggest thing that happened for me when I went behind the scenes and saw that, they trying to figure out what we're going to tell the people. I said, what you mean? What we're going to tell the people? They said, we got to come up with something to tell them. I said, I'm going to tell mine the truth. Oh, there you go. Hey, I'm like, we talking about grown people. And that's when I saw, that was the opening of my eyes and my ears here to how people are being misled. I'm telling you, people are being misled. If you go behind the scenes of your church or in the church, you're going to see, and the manipulation is done in the church. And the church is the Christian church, the Muslim mosques and all that stuff is the biggest enemy to the African on the planet. We forget, like that, the things that we so proudly embrace now were the things that was put on our people destructively by killing, forcible. So anyway, if I want to be wise in God, if I want to be smart, if I want to hear, if I want to know what God has for me to learn, then how can I look to my enemy, the person that I know, or the people, the group of people on the planet that I know caused none but destruction for my ancestors? How can I depend on what they give me to be good for me when I know that they have not my best interests at heart? Am I the only one? So anyway, so when I think about that, and I listen, because I know one day I was in the Waffle House, and I was saying something to this young lady, so this white guy, he chimed in. But of course, what I was saying, he couldn't get me because I was speaking from African perspective. He's speaking from a Eurocentric, hegemonic perspective. So I'm listening, and I said, well, that's typical. So he was probably somebody that been, but he was telling me, and I said, yeah, but how about this? So it went from him trying to correct me to me teaching him, because I'm like, dude, I know what you're talking about, but here's what this say here. But see, people are taught to see and not see. People are taught to hear and not hear. But here Isaiah said that God awoken me. Come on now. Hear what's being said, see what's being done. I tell people all the time, a story tell itself. Sit back and look at it. Just sit back and pay attention, and you can see the story. Now, I realized later that I have the spirit of discernment, but you still can see what's going on. But I do have the gift of discernment, and so I sit back and I pick stuff apart, and that's what make people upset because I pick stuff apart. I'm very vocal. I speak what I believe to be the truth. Now, here's why I do that. Well, I was doing it before this, but even more so, this validated it. God sent people to me in particular. This one guy say, God said, I didn't know this guy, I'd never seen him before, hadn't seen him since. God said, you let the crowd go. You let the crowd go. You stay doing what you're doing. Don't follow the crowd. Then I found Matthew 7 and 13 say, broad and wide is the gate that lead to the road to destruction, and many will find it. But narrow and straight is the road that leads to salvation, and only a few will find it. So I'm like, wow, okay, God. Now I know, I feel like this God speaking to me, because here's a stranger come. I never did stick with the crowd, per se, so I'm the most unlike person in the so-called ministry I'm a part of, which I haven't participated in that in about 7, 8 years. I don't go to nothing. I don't do nothing, so, but nevertheless, because I choose to tell the truth, because I choose not to sit there and let somebody bullshit me, lie, and bullshit me, knowing that they lie just for them because they egotistical. They, like Donald Trump, they're narcissistic. And if you let a narcissistic person get away with something, then they're going to continue to do it and pretend as if they won. That's not what God says that we must. This is why they say, me and God, I'm in the majority. God says that you should know the truth, and the truth should make you free. Now, when I sit in these meetings, and I listen to I read the Bible, read the Bible. Now, I'm not one that believe in every dot and tittle. I'll be fair to say that up front. But I know the Bible is some good health information. In particular, I know the Bible before the Europeans put their stamp in it, which you can see where the Europeans come in at. It's just, for me, like I said, after spirit of discernment, I could just see where the Europeans. That's how I chopped that guy up in the White House. He told me about Paul. I said, yeah, and Paul said it, not God. All that stuff that Paul wrote, God didn't do that. Paul wasn't writing Bible. Paul was writing letters of instructions, then letters of accommodations. He was encouragement and stuff like that. He was just trying to encourage people. Because if you look at Paul writings, in the beginning, Paul writings was immature. Because Paul didn't even get what he was doing. In the end, then he started talking about, look, you have to work out your own soul salvation. In other words, you have to have your own relationship with the Creator. Can't nobody or nothing do that for you. You have to do that for yourself. So anyway, so when I was when I was thinking, and then I was listening, and I'm always listening, and I'm always paying attention, and God spoke, and God sent that guy, and I'm looking, I said, wow, man, you, I said, you know me? Where this? I said, where this coming from? I don't know. He told me what the hell. He didn't know, but I know I had been praying, and I had asked God to send me some, because I was confused about a lot of things. Because when you're going against the masses, and not intentionally, because remember, you sit in meetings, and if you know someone is lying, and you just sit there, and if you know someone is lying, and you sit there and don't say nothing, then you become a perpetuator of that lie. Now the Bible says, not Bernard, the Bible says that the devil is the father of lies and the author of deceit. So then if I'm sitting somewhere trying to be godly, and I hear somebody lying and I don't say nothing, then I have to question the God that's in me. Because see, religion can't religion can't determine the God in you. Denomination, doctrine, dogma can't determine, but God says I'm a live inside of you in your heart. So that becomes a relationship between you and God. So if you allow negative energy, because the Bible says good and evil can't dwell in the same place. So if I'm dwelling in God, then that means that evil can't be amongst that. If I'm not dwelling in God, then evil can come. So when I start thinking about all this, I'm sitting here, I'm listening to people lying, then I have to speak out, then they get mad with me because I spoke out against the lie, and and did so forth and so on. So after so many years, I just couldn't take it no more, and then when your so-called spiritual leader get up and he preaching about he's educated, because I'm the least educated out of all of them, but I'm the most wise. He came up with something, and I told him, I said, oh, I did that 10 years ago. He looked at me, it's supposed to be in the Catholic setting. They called Mary the mother of God. I changed it to the mother of Jesus about 14 years ago, because there's no way she could be the mother of God. So about 12 years ago, he told me, he said, yeah. He says, about 14 years ago, he said, no, he didn't tell me. He said in the group, he said, well, you know what? Maybe we need to change Mary from being the mother of Jesus, the mother of God, to the mother of Jesus, because God never took on, human form. And I say, well, I did that 10 years ago. He looked at me, if his eyes was guns, I'd be dead today, because you're supposed to, you're supposed to get permission from them to do everything. But if God is speaking to you about you, how can someone else give you permission on that? So when you begin to overstand, and not understand, but overstand what relationship with God is you and God being in tune and in touch with God, who God is. Now, what give us the right to even think that that can happen? And because we look at this thing, and today's supposed to be Palm Sunday, and so today's supposed to be the triumphant entry. I don't know. I think most people don't even know what Palm Sunday represent. They just see it done, and we don't ask no questions. They say do it, we do it, and that's it. So then when you start looking at paying attention to what you're doing, when you start learning what you're doing and why you're doing it, then you have to start being suspect about some information that you have. Like, and this is the thing about when you challenge doctrine, dogma, and religiosity, then you become a threat. And not even wanting to be a threat, because the Bible says you should know the truth, and the truth should make you free. Well, if you perpetuating a lie, and I take that on as my truth, then I'm not free. I'm in prison to that lie. And if I continue to allow you, to throw more and more on top of that, now I'm buried in your lie, and it's next to impossible for me to come out of it. But when I hear God's voice, when God have awoken me, as Isaiah said in Isaiah 50:4, now I have to hold myself accountable and responsible, because I'm supposed to know the truth, because I want to be made free. See, I want to be free. I don't want to be under indoctrination. I don't want to be under dogma. I don't want to be under religion. I don't want to be under the so-called rule of a person that I don't even approve of them and how they live. How could you be my spiritual leader and you live foul? That can't happen. I'm not saying that I have everything under control, that I'm perfect, but I do the things that I speak, I live. I don't lie. I don't practice lying. That's not something that you get out of me much when I say, and a lot of times people, they get upset with you and everything, but it sometimes even telling yourself the truth hurts. So it's not about trying to destroy a person's spirit or nothing, because that's not what we call to do. We call to build each other. But if if I lie to you and continue to lie to you, and you lying to me, then what are we building? We're building a falsehood. You know, we're building a distrust. We're building the foundation like we're looking at every day now with this pandemic. You know, most of what we hear and see about this pandemic is just lies, yo. And so what they do, they sell fear. And so fear, but here's the truth, people are dying. So my thing is that how do we how do we know that we can be connected to God? Because I mean, prior to the so-called New Testament, you wasn't connected to God. Prior to that, that's what they said. They said God was with you, but not in you. So in John, I'm in Matthew now, the 27th chapter, which talks about the whole thing about that, the robbery, all kind of stuff with Yeshua, Jesus, Haru. That's who it really is, Haru. And so it talks about that. So then what do you do? So it talks about the story, tell the story. It's long, so I'm not going to read it all. But there are some parts of it that I would like to come on. And it talks about, see, they say, I don't even say that it was a crucifixion no more. It was an assassination is what it was. You could put the pretty word crucifixion on it if you want, but it was an assassination. And he was assassinated for coming against the powers that be. And when you come against the powers that be right now in this corporation, in this system, what happens? The only people that's still around talking noise are people that's not affecting the mission at hand. See, what we see is New World Order being ushered in. I don't know if you all watch History TV, but you might want to watch it. And I know that we're supposed to be every dot and tittle. But let me tell you, if you do some historical research, then you'll see that I say the Bible for me now is the word of man that try to follow God. The great prophet Bob Marley says the book of man and the book of life is the book that man try to use to govern his life. But then I also know that there's so much more out there. Like when I go to Thailand, I got you, Neil. I'm gonna call you, brother. When I go to Thailand, listen to this. When I go to Thailand, I hang out with the Buddhists. I was invited to go stay a year in the Buddhist temple with the monks. So I embrace spirituality. I don't embrace whitewash. Because if you look, I was looking at History TV. And, when the Romans lost to the Gothics, and then the King Claudius came in, became a Christian, and went right back out and started killing and stealing land. So now you got stories saying that God told us to go kill and steal the land. So what we got here with this corona, and please don't think I'm making light of it, because I realize how serious it is. Like I said, I did my first funeral of it yesterday, a corona victim yesterday, so I know it's real. But here's the deal: if you take, you got to watch what these people are doing, because the very people that you are depending on for information are intentionally deceiving you. But information is out here. Be wise, man. Start thinking, people. We done fell for the same okie doke forever. At what point do we say enough is enough? At what point do we see the conspiracy? At what point do we see that this Intentional Population Reduction Act? And so in it, you have to be careful. And again, I looked the same thing in this Bible in Matthew 27. It was the same thing. Now, the stories say about Barabbas and Barabbas, they say, Barabbas, let him go, let Barabbas go. But Barabbas said, why let me go? This man is here for nothing. Did not we know that story? Those were everybody, really. The whole so-called Christian church been on with that story forever. So, and so they said, no, crucify him, Now, uh, again, this poem certainly represent the triumphant entry. But here's what we got to see: what was happening. Now, in Matthew, look in Matthew that says, it says, now just the dialogue they have. I'm starting at 42. They say, he saved others, but he cannot save himself. He is King of Israel. Let him come down from the cross now, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God deliver him his cares for him, for he said he was God's son. So, so they saying, okay, so how many times do you get challenged with that? And because you don't think what the crowd think, because you don't believe in all that indoctrinated bull crap no more, because that's all it is, and religiosity and stuff. But you start seeking truth, because you can find your truth in the Bible, and you can live a decent truth from the Bible. You really can. But I just say don't stop at the Bible. Like any good information is good information. So don't get consumed and so when I talk like this, I lose people, right? When I talk like this, I lose people. But I'm cool because I know that this is not fun for people. So when they say, well, he believed in God, he trusts God. Well, we saying we trust God, and what happens? We say we trust God, but then the first little fear come along, then we fall for it. We fall for the okie doke. We fall for the fear. So my thing is, let not your heart be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me and in yourself. And so in Matthew, when you see that, then you see go on to say is that Jesus, he took a haru, he took. Let me see. Let's say even the robbers who crucified with him abused him in the same way. Now from noon there was darkness over the whole country until 3. And about 3, Jesus called out loudly, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani. That is, my God, why have thou forsaken me? Some of the bystanders, when they heard it, said, the man is calling for Elijah. Okay, now go down to verse 50. It said, but Jesus cried out again loudly and gave up the spirit. And at once the curtain of the sanctuary was torn in 2 from the top to the bottom. Okay, that says, now he cried out loud. First he said, my God, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. My God, why have thou forsaken me? Now, why did he say that? He said that, they say, because that's when he felt the pain of sin. That's what they say. That's the way the story goes. When he felt the pain of sin, that's when he said, my God, why have thou forsaken me? Showing sin, disconnect from God. But then, after that, he did what he did. I know in one verse it said, nevertheless, but not thy will, my will be done, but thy will be done. Then they say he gave up the spirit. Some say gave up the spirit, meaning that life left him. Because the spirit of God is inside of us. So he gave up the spirit. And when he gave up the spirit, it says the curtain, but some in the King James said the veil was rent from the top to the bottom. Now, what was known, the veil was known to be the separation between God and humanity after the fall of man and sin entered into the world. This is how the story goes. Whether you agree with it or not, this is how the story goes. So after the fall of man and the veil was put in place, now with the death of Christ, the Christ, which means anointed one, Haru, Jesus, Yeshua, whatever you call him, then it said the veil was rent, meaning now the disconnect from God and man is gone. Now man have access back to God directly. This is what it said. So now if I have access back to God directly, then why do I have to go to a priest to do a confession? Why do I have to wait for somebody that call itself a bishop or archbishop or pope to award me with that God has given me, when God says that no longer will you have to hear from me through a brother or friend, but I'll reveal myself to you from the least to the greatest, that I'm going to live inside of you? So that had nothing to do. So when I learned that it was up to me to have a relationship, now I had a guy to tell me, Bishop Carlos Harvin out of Lafayette, tell me that God speaks to bishops different than he speaks. I said, really? Really? That when we see that no church person, no religious leader did nothing, no church person, no religious leader did nothing, but it was all people. That's why Jesus says that a prophet is without honor in his own country. He said, now I went in my country and I tried to do what I tried to do, and they rejected me. He went outside, the story about the Samaritans and all that stuff. And so, but why would we fool ourselves to make ourselves believe that someone that have not our best interests at heart is in our corner, is on our side? Why would we do that? I mean, so we do it. We've been doing it for a long time, but God said that I'll never leave you nor will I ever forsake you, but I believe you even to the end of all time. So if the Christ gave up the ghost, the spirit, the veil was rent, you was connected back to God, why are you playing? Why can't you not see what relationship with God is? Why can't you not get how good God is and how good you are in God? See, the thing is not just to glorify God, because God is glorified. The thing is for you to see the glory that God placed in you. And that glory that God placed in you is not for you to go, just to shine and be about you. It's about the things that God placed before you. Like in Genesis 12:2, where he tell Abraham, go and leave your father's land. But he says, and I'm going to bless you. I'm going to make you the father of many nations, I'm going to bless you. But at the end, he said that you might be a blessing. The problem is, do people know how to be a blessing? Do people really know how to be a blessing in the real God? Not in this created stuff, not in this stuff that, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to satisfy this person, you have to, and any thinking person, any sort of thinking person know that all this stuff is fake. They know that. They play the game just to get a part of it. Now, I believe in spirituality. I believe in God. I believe in some of the content in the Bible. I believe in some of the content in the Quran and whatever, all that. But I believe that the biggest lie that we have been told is that we have to see everything differently. When you start seeing things outside of yourself, listen to this. When you start seeing some things outside of yourself, that must control you, then you don't know the God. You don't know the God that you say you serve. Because the God you say you serve gave you power and might. We can't say after the day of Pentecost, come on, man, this stuff, I'm to the point now. I'm just starting to pay attention to how many years I've been going through this same story. I've been doing this 20 years. Was supposed to be a Catholic church, so it's a independent, but you know. And so all this, so the Palm Sunday, you do all that. So we're gonna do the Palm Sunday. Now the Yeshua gave up Jesus, Yeshua, Haru gave up the ghost. The veil was rent. Is what the book said. The veil was rent. Then that means that man was connected back to God, so man had power in God, and God said that this ushered a new covenant. Now, what the new covenant is, I know one of them in Jeremiah 31, 34, the new covenant is, I'm going to make a new covenant with you, unlike the covenant I made with your forefathers. I'm going to be your God, you're going to be my people, and I'm going to live in the inward part of you. So if that's the new covenant, if the Most High created said I'm going to live in the inward part of you, that's the new covenant, that the Christ, the anointed one, ushered in a new covenant. Well, the veil was rent, everything, all the preparation was made, but in all that getting, get it overstanding, you have to get enough knowledge, and you have to gain enough knowledge in self to know that everything you were looking for is done already. It's done. You have to take it and use it in a manner it was to. Look at Matthew 9, people, 36 through 39. Look at Matthew 9, 36 to 39, right? If you look at that, you're going to see he told them to go pray for somebody to go. And then he anointed them and sent them. So now you have been anointed. The veil have been rent. You connected back to the source. You done all that you had to do. So you are now to do what? To go ye therefore and proclaim the good news. Not to be caught up in some religion. Just like I see. Now I see these people that's supposed to be, they stand up. They say it's easy to talk stuff when you can't be challenged. But see, now with this coronavirus, I issue some challenges. I want to see Kenneth Copeland, Creflo Dollar, and all them crooks go up there. Go get y'all. You say you raised people from the dead. You turn tornadoes and all that foolishness. Let's go get some of these people. Let's just go in the hospital and get them healed. Go get these people healed. See, this is a challenge that you can be measured on. But all that other foolishness that they talk and people follow and believe is unmeasurable stuff, so they could get away with it. But let's see you do something here. See, this here you have to have good common sense, wisdom, knowledge, and great understanding of the Most High Creator. You have to be smart. Let's be real. People are dying. I funeralized a young lady yesterday morning. 44 years old, been knowing her whole life. That was kind of hard. It was hard. Funeralizing such a young person, a person that you've been knowing your whole life, right? But that's what's going on. But if we don't get in tune and in touch with ourselves, if we don't begin to learn, if we don't begin to learn not only who we are, but whose we are, I'm telling you, people, things are happening at such a rate that it's disheartening. So those of us who are the church, let me tell you what the church should do, in my opinion. That's my opinion now. Here's what the church should do. The church should teach people to go back to the old ways before all this craziness. They have herbs, spices, and everything that you can use to help people heal. See, like, if you think you have corona, don't sit and wait on the test. Start working against that rascal. Lemons, lime, sea moss. As my nephew Lance turned me on to sea moss, and I'm using that sea moss now. Sea moss, Vitamin C. Load yourself up with vitamin C. Not that emergency stuff. They have raw vitamin C. Now you can put the emergency. You can put the emergency, with it because the raw is don't taste good. But you got your sea moss. So with your sea moss, your bladder and I'm talking like my nephew. But these things, you got all the vitamins and minerals your body needs. The body is a unique machine that the creator, when creating it, gave it a means of fighting. But you have to give it the nourishments that it needs to win. So if you start taking your vitamins, vitamin C, to just that vitamin C twice, 3 times a day, raw. Uh, Hot when you take it with lemon and lime, maybe a little honey. You can put a little cinnamon. Um, then the sea moss is great. I'm telling you, the sea moss. My nephew make the sea moss with the bladderwrack and the baru root, and that bring it over the 102 vitamin mineral your body need. Plus, you're putting them extra vitamin C. Vitamin C is the it enhances your immune system so your body can fight. Eat alkaline vegetables and everything. Alkaline your body up. Eat alkaline vegetables. Make alkaline water. If you can do that kind of stuff, and you could beat this thing. How I know that? How can I say that? And I can say it. Not I didn't have it, but my wife did. My wife had it because my wife worked in the school and stuff. She don't know whether she got it from bingo or the school, but she had it, but she didn't have it. Didn't come on her severely because soon as I started loading up with vitamin C's, bought some lime, we had lemon. I was just doing it that way. Then my nephew had called me about the sea moss and something told me to try the stuff. So I tried it. I liked it. I said, "Here, girl, start taking it." She started drinking that sea moss and stuff. That vitamin C was strengthening. With the vitamin C runs her, but it's getting that poison out of you. If you got mucus and stuff up here, it's coming out. If it's down there, it's gonna push it out. Vitamin C fight for the body. I'm telling you. I'm telling you this real talk. And so she had it. So she for a week till she was having fever. Fever would go up and down. Then we thought that the fever was gone, so she tried to go to work. So the day she went back to work, she almost passed out. So the lady called my daughter and told my daughter what happened and told her don't call your daddy. She said, "Who?" "I'm calling my daddy right now." And so she called me, my daughter, and said, "Daddy, mama, da da da." So I called my brother and asked him to come with me because he had to bring her car home. So I brought her straight to the clinic. They tested me, no signs. So then they tested my wife, brought her straight in the back. So when they finished, they took tests and all that. They wouldn't let her come through the clinic. They made her go out the side door. And they called her the other day to see how she was doing and said, "You need me to come back?" "Oh, no, we don't need to." Nah, she totally healed. Because by the time she got the results in this bit, what we hearing, like the young lady the other day, the nurse, before she got her results, she died the day before. But I don't know what she was doing, but I'm telling you, you got to start fighting this thing yourself. If you think you have it, take vitamin C. Take vitamin C. Do sea moss. Do that sea moss brew, all that stuff. Do that stuff. Do lemon and lime because that keep your lungs clear. And just do it and don't wait for them to tell you because by that time it could be them progress. And so by we fighting it with my wife in this from the start, she stayed home. They told us when I brought it to the thing, they told her to isolate from me. I said, "Shit, I'm not isolating from you. If you have it, I have it." But she had been through the most contagious time. But now me, I'm alkaline up. I drink alkaline water. I'm starting to eat a lot more alkaline fruits and vegetables. So I'm getting conscious. I'm starting back to try to lose some weight. Don't eat nearly as much, pork and beef and all that stuff no more. I ain't said I don't eat it at all, but I don't eat nearly as much. Been trying to stick with the chicken and the fish, but just trying to make myself healthier. So this machine that God gave me can fight. Because what would be the benefit, saints of God? Think about this. What would be the benefit of God blessing me, blessing my life, giving me all the joys of life, and I just misuse them and don't get to take advantage of it? Now, when I say that, I'm not talking about money and all that stuff. I'm talking about life itself. Just at my age, at 58 years old, life itself is a beautiful thing. Life itself is a beautiful thing at 50 years old, at 58 years old. So, a little pain here, pain there, a little this and that, but it's cool, it's good, by the grace of God I make it. But if I'm going to utilize the gift that God gave me, if the life of the Christ was important enough to me, see, I don't want to brag about he died. I need to brag about the gifts that was given because of the death, because of the assassination. Then the gift that was granted was the views when I'm connected back to God. That's what I'm supposed to be bragging on. Because in some verses where he says, they're saying he gave up the ghost. In some where he says it's finished, it's done. What's finished was done. You being disconnected from God is over. You back connected, which you probably never was. You never was really disconnected from God. That's the story the other people told. Because how can we be disconnected from God when the very essence of who we are is God? The breath, me being able to talk, you being able to hear me and all this stuff is God. So sometimes I'm suspect. So anyway, on this Palm Sunday, and all that get it overstanding. Overstand this, my people. God love you. God will keep you. And I normally say the Most High Creator, because the word God and Lord, the Romans put that in because that was the titles that they had. But that had nothing to do with the Most High Creator. The Bible referred to the Most High as the Most High Creator. And then the Most High Creator never took on a gender, but the gender that ruled the earth before the Romans and the Greek and the Gothics came in was the female. So we're going to go back to saying there's the goddess of the earth and the goddess of the air, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, the goddesses. So we're going to respect the goddesses. We're going to respect ourselves. We're going to respect who God is in us, or who the Most High Creator is in us. We're going to respect the fact that we have a reciprocal relationship with the Creator. And we're going to keep in mind that this is all just an enactment. This stuff is done. You don't keep, so the church enact. So now what's going to happen? So everybody prepare for the big day, the resurrection. The resurrection supposedly being the day, that Yeshua, died or whatever. Yeshua, Jesus, Haru. And so after this, the gift was given, but don't you find it strange, and I close here, do you not find it strange that the power was given, but it's never transferred to the church? You keep going to, after you do this resurrection thing, then you're going to do ordinary time, then you're going to go into the Christmas cycle, you're going to start going into that, and you're going to go into Advent in the Catholic Church, and then you're going to Christmas, and then you're going to prepare for the resurrection, and that's all they take you in a circle from the dead, from the burial to the death, but never the power after. You read about the power was given, but the power never been transferred. If the power was transferred to the people, you wouldn't have 20,000 people go to one church service and hear not even a preacher but an inspirational speaker. That's all it is. Feel good. And if a man can put 20,000 people in a service, then that tells me that 5,000 churches can come out of that. And if you put 5,000 churches in the city, you definitely will see some change. You will see some change. If church was being done like it used to be done, then we can win. But because now church ain't nothing but a family business, Have nothing to do with God. It's just like they're telling you people dying, people don't have jobs and stuff, but they're telling you tithes are still due. Well, stupid, if I ain't getting shit, what my tithes gonna be? If I'm getting nothing, my tithes gonna be nothing. But even if I'm getting something, I ain't tithe nothing. You know, because you don't know what your family, because if you are right, then your children might not be all right. And it's just a domino effect. And we just have to be smart, be wise, because guess what? God don't need your money, baby. God needs your love, because your money come with your love. And you don't have to give that to a person. You show love to people. You know, you show love to the needy. Somebody need, not these people that's professional beggars now. They got some people been out here on Carrollton and Airline for 15 years or better, since Katrina, right after Katrina. To Sam Corner begging. They look like they took a vacation. They was gone for about a month. They do that all the time. They leave, and they must have some. They must have somewhere else they go that's very lucrative, and then they come back when that's over. And it's the same cycle. So I don't give them nothing. And they don't look like they have nothing. They both be collecting money, count their money. When they get enough, they go. But I think they're on some kind of substance, drugs or something. So, again, I'll feed people, but I'm not out behind people stupid. Okay, Bishop, so all that you said, what are you saying? What I'm saying is enjoy yourself on this so-called Palm Sunday, but know that the poems are not important. You are important. Know that when in Matthew, when he's in 27 and 52, I think, when he said, and he gave up the ghost and the curtain was rent, know that you are connected back to God. No devil in hell can stop you. No one message. If you under somebody that's telling you how much you missed the mark and how you going to hell, get out from under them. You under the devil. Or you under somebody that wants you to just keep paying them to make you think that they got something better than you have. Let me tell you something. A preacher don't have no more than you have. A preacher ain't no more than you have. Look in Romans 10 and 15. They ask a question. They say, how can he preach unless he was sent? And so a lot of you don't even challenge somebody being sent. I remember some people in New York blessed us after Katrina. Well, I'm not your traditional pastor indoctrinated, so they didn't really like doing us, but we still around. But the pastor they had was Baptist, but they was one of them I will tell you in a minute. But it was a church. They Baptists and them just didn't, because they more come out the Catholic reform. So they come out the Reformation, the Protestant Reformation. So they didn't buy him. And I wasn't feeling him. He wasn't feeling me. He was trying to put me with them people, them entertainers and all that. Well, that's not who I am. So I was talking to my friend. Now we committed to talk back to each other once a week. And I asked about him. She told me he was gone and he left the church broke. I said, I was kind of telling you, but because I'm not formally educated and stuff, people think I take on a thing of jealousy, but I have nothing to be jealous over. Personally, my life, God has blessed my life tremendously. If it would be a sin for me to be jealous, to be honest with you, because the things that I have surprise me that I have them. I'm telling you the truth. It do. And it's not about things. Again, I told you, but I know God step in because I saw God step in. But there's a purpose for everything. And I know what the purpose is, but nevertheless. So people, but the Bible says, how can two walk together unless to agree? People that's unevenly yoked and all that stuff. We can't do that kind of stuff. We can't do that kind of stuff. We gotta just be about truth and righteousness, people. Truth and righteousness. So in all that, get it over. Stand and remember, the ghost was given up. The spirit went back, as Ecclesiastes 12 and 7 say. that the body gonna go back to the ground from where it came, and the spirit gonna go back to God from where it came. And this is what you see happen. It said, and the spirit left. It went back to the Most High Creator, and this is what happened in that. The spirit go back, the body go back to the ground. That heaven peace, they created that to make you think that you could actualize what's best for you. Listen to this. What's best for you and your family in the by and by. That's foolish. Even our Father prayer tell you that's foolish. Our Father prayer tell you on earth as it is in heaven. That's what our Father prayer said. Our Father prayer said on earth as it is in heaven. Your earthly life is supposed to have heavenly presence. So you're not supposed to be waiting. You don't have to suffer while you're on this earth. That's stupid. Then why was the ghost giving up? Why this crucifixion, as they call it, I call it assassination, had to take place if people was to be saved? Why? If that's the case, come on. And all that, get it overstanding. Get this, that people control you thinking that you're stupid. When you start learning the truth, you should know the truth. The truth should make you free. The Bible said that, not but no. But most of you don't want to be free. Isaiah said that the Lord awoken me and continue to awaken me and open up my ears. Look, in Yeshua Haru, Jesus says, let those who have ears to hear, let them hear. Are your ears awoken? Are your ears open? Do you hear God? Do you know that God have ushered in a new covenant? Do you know that the new covenant is God in you? Do you know that no longer do you have to hear from God through a friend or brother, but God going to reveal God's self to you? Then God going to confirm God's self through a friend or brother. But if somebody revealing something to you and it's not something that God put in your spirit, be suspect of it. Because God said, I'm going to speak directly to you. And then do I speak? Say, I don't let people prophesy over me. Very rarely you'll see me letting somebody prophesy over me. I have my little bishop. He's a prophet, but I don't, I don't too much, a little bit. But I believe in him. I know he's a man of God, but I just don't believe in that so much because, again, he says, no longer do you have to hear from me through a brother or friend, but I'm going to reveal myself to you from the least to the greatest. So I go with that. But he do tell me some stuff sometimes. So we have valid stuff, but I want you to get that you have to learn this thing. You have to begin to learn this thing. Don't let people play the scripture on you. The scripture say, give and it shall be given to you, good measure, shaken down, put together, shaken together, overflowing, should have run from your bosom. They'll tell you that scripture, right? So you use that scripture. Then they're going to tell you, that scripture wasn't intent. See, they play that game. Now, they use it for collection. Never was meant. Listen to this. It never was meant for collection, okay? It was meant that if you have more, you have something to share. And when you share, God is going to always bless you. And that's why my life is so blessed, because I know how to be a blessing. So, and that in saying, I pray that this message today blessed you as it blessed me on this Palm Sunday, as some would call it, but on this blessed, beautiful Sunday, I say, peace, namaste, hotel, assalamu alaikum, ashe.